Steve Wright, the veteran DJ for Radio 2, the afternoon DJ, who I understand commands an audience of 6 million. Not bad, to say the least. He's being replaced, we're told, in a bid to recruit a younger audience. Steve is 67. And he's being replaced by 49-year-old Scott Mills. That should get the teenagers in, shouldn't it?
Well, this is the thing. The BBC is very obsessed with box ticking and diversity and all of those things. Unless you're a middle-aged white man, straight white man, then you can forget it. And it actually sort of white women as well generally are getting the the P45 handed to them too once they get over a certain age, and that's actually really disrespectful considering who pays for the licence fee these days, and it is majoritively those who are over a certain age because they won't necessarily have access to ultra broadband or whatever, and therefore it's just habitual to watch live TV for people of a certain generation, but they're seeing less and less of people like themselves on TV. So yeah, it's deeply unfair, and it's something that they should really be actually going the other way rather than getting rid of people who, like you say, command a huge audience. I mean, Steve Wright's been a fixture at the BBC since we can all remember, and he still has a huge listener base. So why are they getting rid of him?
It's extraordinary. And, of course, EastEnders, the once flagship soap, which at one point commanded an audience of 30 million, now struggles to get 2 million and sometimes even less than that. Their big plan to get that audience back, there's going to be an invasion of drag queens into Albert Square. That should do the trick. Honestly, the people who make the decisions at the state broadcaster need their heads examined. They're basically not very good. Rebecca, let's now move on. What do you make of it? There are very strong reports today that Keir Starmer's bold bid to get off the problems involving the Beergate saga up in Durham might rebound on him insofar as there are strong rumours that he may well be fined by Durham police for breaking lockdown rules, along with his deputy Angela Rayner, and of course they've both promised if they get fined for these offences, found guilty and then fined, that they will quit. Now, if that happens, I mean, they're saying it might happen this week. It's the sort of music that should go to this, as Keir Starmer goes, yeah, Wakefield, Tiverton, we're on our way. It's like, oh, I've got to resign. Wah, 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 wah. I mean, it would be kind of funny if he has to quit this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he will try and find a way to worm his way out of it, won't he? He's known up and down the country for just his complete hypocrisy on all of the COVID restrictions. We've all seen him drinking a beer with his colleagues in that small room through the window. I mean, whoever took that video, we don't know, but it's there for all to see. And yet he's been sort of after Boris to resign over and over and over again, and that's all debatable whether or not Boris should resign. But for Keir to be such a hypocrite is another story altogether. But perhaps Tony Blair already knows what's going to happen, because that's why he's firing up this unification of the Ramona massive are coming back. You never know. Maybe he sees his opportunity to try and take back over the Labour Party. Who knows?
As a Brexiteer, do you fear? I mean, I think there are serious worries now that Tony Blair and his Future of Britain coalition, all the usual suspects, as I said earlier, Lord Adonis, Gina Miller, Alistair Campbell, they're all plotting. I think they see a chance. They want to overturn Brexit. Do you fear for the future of this country in terms of being independent and no longer in the Brussels Club? Do you think we might have to rejoin in the end?
I don't think we'll have to rejoin. I think actually what's COVID, one of the very few positives to come out of COVID was the fact that we were able to respond relatively independently and therefore perform better in the vaccine rollout and what have you than the big countries in Europe did. I don't think there's an appetite at all to rejoin the EU. I think people are seeing it for what it is, and the people like Gina Miller and Andrew Adonis and Tony Blair, these people really, really disliked in the country now. People were exhausted for that sort of, 4 years of battling. And the 80-seat majority that Boris was given was, a sheer sign that people were sick to death of this backwards and forwards. And it was all caused by this tiny majority that Theresa May had, or essentially no majority at all. And Boris was given that 80-seat majority. The real frustrating thing for people is that with that majority, he's not really done an awful lot of what, people wanted, So that's the frustration.
Yeah, that's my point about Boris. I wanted him to succeed. I still want him to succeed. I still wish him well in his endeavours, but I'm not quite sure what he's up to. I mean, is it your impression too that this Prime Minister of ours is making a God almighty mess of things?
I think so. I mean, I think the thing is that Boris is very much sort of like, he comes across as sort of the rugby captain who sort of rallies his team. He gives them, the sort of the motivation. Come on, guys, let's do this. He does the big speeches and he's great at all of that. But he's then a delegator, and it's up to the people around him to actually fulfill, that vision. And I think that's where it's going wrong, really. It must be that he is surrounded by people who are either not in agreement or who just aren't willing to deliver on the promise, that the British people were given.
Did you see the story? I mean, Nadine Dorries, of course, no friend of the BBC, but I don't want to talk to her about her in terms of her plans for the state broadcaster right now. But what did interest me is she's threatened to cut funding for cricket and tennis over a trans row. She's learnt that, for example, England fast bowler Ben Stokes is banned from playing against the B-team cricketers because he's too good. That's on safety grounds because he'll hurtle a ball down and sort of break their head or something. But male-born players can still bowl at women. She says that unless there's a ban on those who went through male puberty, she's going to cut funding to both cricket and tennis. So more on the trans row. Where do you stand on this, Rebecca?
Oh, I think Nadine is absolutely right. I mean, and many people, it's such a toxic topic that people avoid because, being accused of transphobia is, can get you cancelled and can get you sacked and all those kinds of things. Luckily, I'm self-employed, so I'm not in a situation where I have to worry about that kind of thing. But there are many women up and down the country who can't speak out. But absolutely, women are in absolutely no doubt, and also men, that there is a huge biological advantage of going through male puberty. And it doesn't matter how many hormones you pump into your body, you've still got male physiology. It gives you a massive advantage. There isn't any way that the people who've been through male puberty should be competing against women in sport. It's just deeply unfair.
So swimming recently changed the rules so that male-born transgender athletes can no longer compete against women. But in cricket and in tennis and indeed in other sports, they still can. That's not fair. That is that risks the very future of women's sports. And what I worry about the whole trans debate is much of it seems to be aimed at cancelling women. They're referred to as people with cervixes, people who get pregnant, people who menstruate. You never hear men referred to as people with testicles, do you? It's sexist. No. It's sexist.
It is really sexist. And that's the thing is that, it's not actually trans men or people who were born women who are transitioning to, presenting as men. It's not them who are pushing this agenda because it's being pushed under the guise of this is inclusive language. If that was the case, then we would see, men being referred to as testicle havers or all of these kinds of really, really sort of, degrading kind of language that was being thrown at women, And I think you only have to if you go back to the sports topic, you only have to look at the fact that trans men, they still compete against biological women because there's no way in the world they would, have any chance of even qualifying if they were to compete against biological men. So, it's such a nonsense. And, it's all under the name of, well, this is fair. Well, it's not fair to women, as you say, being sort of completely cancelled, and particularly when it comes to things like chest feeders or womb habits and all of those kinds of things. You know, motherhood, I mean, I'm a mother myself. Motherhood it can be a really difficult time. Obviously, it's extremely rewarding. That's why so many women do it. But it can be, you know, really tough. And one of those things is, you know, you want to be able to sort of, you know, call yourself a mother and talk about the things that you're actually struggling with, like breastfeeding or whatever, all of those things. And to have to then, you know, fix your own language and disassociate yourself from that by just referring to yourself as body parts, it's really awful.